and in collaboration with Strengths Africa, and what we'll be doing with AfCFTA. So we hope to hear more about that. And without further ado, please let me bring up Omomi Olarinre, the head of business support, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. But before I do that, I would like to read a bit of her profile so we can be well acquainted with the person or the people we'll be listening to today. So Maomi leads the strategy and research and policy teams at the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, LSETF. She is responsible for preparing and implementing the fund's strategic plan and evaluating the impact of environmental objectives on the fund's operations. She is also responsible for coordinating market intelligence activities and assessing market information and indices. Before she joined LSETF, Omoumi worked as a portfolio manager at Morgan Stanley London with assets under management of over $268 billion, covering traditional asset management, real estate investments, and merchant banking. Omoumi started her career as an auditor at Simons Gainsford LLP London and advanced to JP Morgan Chase London as a fund accountant. Omoumi has an MA in Information Technology from the University of Nottingham and a BSc in Accounting and Economics from the University of Reading. A chartered accountant, FCCA, with nearly 19 years experience, amazing. Strong audit, regulatory and statutory reporting backgrounds, IFRS and UKGAP, gained in the private accounting practice and in financial services sector. Omoumi is an excellent team leader and team player with experience working on private and public projects. Please give a virtual welcome and a very warm welcome to Omoumi Olarinre. Thank you very much for joining us. So I hand over the digital lecture to Omoumi Olarinre.
Thank you so much, Adejoke, for that warm welcome. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. It's an honor and it's a privilege to be here today to represent the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund as the head business support. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. I mean, at the LSETF, we were set up in 2016 as an agency of the Lagos State government, and our core mandate really is job creation. Over the years, LSETF has predominantly rested most of its work on three pillars: access to finance, access to market, and capacity building. A lot of people find LSETF synonymous to access to finance, but we are quickly trying to change that narrative today, which is why we're having this session today, which is resting on the access to market pillar. LSETF, we're excited about the AfCFTA agreement, and we can't wait to get MSMEs, both as our beneficiaries and with the over 3 million MSMEs in Lagos State involved in this exporting within the continent, opening up various markets to them, ensuring that their businesses will then thrive and grow. And ultimately, that will help us achieve our mandates of job creation by creating more jobs as they begin to expand their businesses and export across the continent. So thank you, everyone, for joining. We have a lot in today's session. We have a lot of experts in the industry that will speak to us, educate us on what we need to do to get our goods and services across Africa. And, just sit back, relax, have your questions ready. There's going to be an exciting interactive Q&A session at the end. And yeah, thank you once again. Thank you once again to our partners, Strengths Africa, for working tirelessly behind the scenes to put this together. And thank you, everyone, once again. Adejoke, over to you.
Thank you very much, Omoumi. Thank you very much for keeping to time. And there's been a lot of buzz about AfCFTA, and for those who are joining us, you are going to be the first beneficiaries and partaker through what LSETF and our partner Strengths Africa is doing. As a lawyer, I'm particularly really excited about AfCFTA and the opportunities. And there's no doubt that Lagos State is a pioneer state. We are the most innovative and entrepreneurial and ingenious state in terms of economies in Africa, the 7th largest economy in Africa, and it's still fast growing. So without wasting too much of our time, because like I said earlier, I'll be your accurate timekeeper, aside from being the anchor. We're pressed for time and we have to respect time. I will bring up the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund without further ado. Her name is Teju Bisoye. She is the Executive Secretary of the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, a Lagos State government agency established to create jobs and tackle unemployment by providing skills and development and entrepreneurship opportunities for Lagos residents. Prior to assuming the role, she was the program and coordination director at the LSETF. She has worked across various roles in project planning, execution, monitoring, and evaluation of humanitarian projects. She also has extensive experience with government-driven entrepreneurship programs, especially UWIN, an initiative of the federal government of Nigeria. Teju is a trained lawyer with over 15 years experience in the socio-economic development space. She has an LLM in international trade and investment law from the University of Pretoria and an LLB from the University of Ibadan. She is also an alumna of Yale's Women Leadership Program. Please give a very warm welcome to Tejumola Abisoyi, the Executive Secretary of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, as I hand over the digital lectern to her.
Thank you very much, Adejoke, and good morning to everybody. Thank you first for investing your time in this opportunity to learn about AfCFTA. It's an exciting opportunity, but like Adejoke said, we're really pressed for time. So let me just jump right into the meat of the matter. It's a great pleasure to actually be here this morning to welcome everybody to this webinar about access to market. It's brought to you gladly by Lagos State Employment Trust Fund in collaboration with our partner, Strength Africa. For us, like Amomi had said earlier, our core mandate is job creation. And how do we do this effectively? We recognize, because of statistics, that small businesses are the core providers of job in Nigerian market. So over 80% of employment or of the labor force are actually employed by MSMEs. And MSMEs also contribute to the GDP, about 50% of the GDP in the nation. And recognizing again that the unemployment figures are rising post-COVID lockdown and all the issues with the pandemic, it jumped from 27.1% in Q2 2020 to 33.3% by Q4 2020. The real effects of the pandemic are beginning to show, and I don't think we've seen the end of this. However, the Free Trade Agreement represents, it's a flagship program of the African Union. I don't need to educate you about AfCFTA, but it seeks to increase employment, investment opportunities, and as well as develop the technology ecosystem in Africa. It seeks to drive capital, both domestic for business, to facilitate investment, and of course, create a larger market for us in Africa. It's going to enhance the competitiveness of members' economy, develop value addition systems for products, and further specialization and boost industry, and it's also going to boost industrialization. I think one of the things AfCFTA also opens up is the export of skills, which countries are going to be able to do. Export of proprietary products like in the creative industry, which Nigeria is definitely prepared to do. Now, to do this very strategically, we recognize that the government has to be involved in a way to provide measures, to provide the education, to help pushing the effect, or to help people understand what is required to effectively play in this space. Nigeria's current export of goods and services is only about 15% of our current GDP. And there are untapped potentials for things we can export further in Nigeria. As it stands, our main intertrade is with Ghana, South Africa, Eswatini, Ivory Coast. And outside ECOWAS, Nigeria mainly exports to South Africa, Cameroon, and Angola. Our main imports are only glassware, plastic, mineral fuels. Of course, we all know we export oil. That's our crude oil is our main export, our main foreign exchange earner. And we continue, and we do fish to some countries outside ECOWAS region. Historically, we think this is low, and it's still at 15% in 2019, compared to Europe, that is 68%, or 59% in Asia exports of what percentage of their trade with the rest of the world. And we think by removing barriers, trade barriers like what they after, creating one market, the biggest market, and you remove the trade barriers, you allow free movement of goods, services, and people across Africa. It is estimated that AfCFTA would increase consumer and business spending on the continent to about $6.7 trillion by 2030. We recognize there's an urgency for Nigeria businesses and for us strategically, Lagos State businesses, the commercial capital of the country, to immediately tap into sustainable solutions and implement them and expand our market opportunities for small businesses that are already contributing. Lagos State alone contributes about 30% to national GDP. Lagos must therefore take the lead in developing capacity, expanding this market reach, and increasing the capability of MSMEs to be able to get into this market. I think one of our strategic direction in Lagos State is to be able to export skills even beyond Nigeria. So yes, we have a shortage of skills right now, but then if we look at the future, what do we want to get to? What do we want to be able to do? We want to be able to stop unemployment. We want to be able to make youth productive. We want to minimize youth restiveness and we want to reduce social disturbances. If we can make our skills, vocational skills, available to be exported, whether it's digital, whether it's vocational, whatever skills that we're training people to be able to do, we want to be able to get people to do that effectively. As a government, the Lagos State government has committed to AfCFTA to help with the development of AfCFTA. First, recently in the news, the development of the Lagos Free Trade Zone and the deep sea port that is already there. And it was recently visited by the governor and a lot of the ESCO team to see the development, where we are, the state of that. The free trade zone is there. It can accommodate up to 18,000 metric tons of petroleum products. It's, the site and the whole zone area is available for business owners to set up. We're committed to good road infrastructure. The government is committed to 3,000 kilometer fiber optic connectivity network for Lagos State. In terms of upgrading the energy sector, we're trying to, because a lot of issues with small businesses still include issues around operations with infrastructure, power. How do we minimize these challenges? So we have this aggressive drive to make sure everybody can get on the metering network. So there's prepaid meter in Lagos State. And of course, we're looking at constructing terminals for air facilities as well. At the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, our own core mandate remains to support small businesses to be able to create jobs. And this support we provide in different ways, primarily access to affordable finance in partnership with commercial banks. So today we have Access Bank, we're partnering with First Bank, Edfin. We continue to provide this access to affordable finance, access to business advisory, capacity development, skills acquisition, career counseling, mentoring, and in our own space, anything that is required to support the ecosystem, ease of doing business, anything that is required to help the entrepreneurial ecosystem, micro enterprises thrive. Because the theory of change for us is, as much as I can provide the support and the business can thrive, they can be more productive and then they can employ more people. And there are over 3,000 MSME, micro small businesses in Lagos. Majority, over 90% are micros, but we recognize the capacity of what can happen even with this business if they enhance their value, if we help them provide the necessary support so that they can do more and they can export their products. Without taking much of your time, I just want to say thank you again, first to my colleagues, the experts and our partners, the facilitators that are on this webinar today. We hope today will be very insightful for everybody that has joined this webinar. We want you to have questions. We want you to want to know more. We want you to want to take the lead, not just have the knowledge, but also do what is required to make sure that you take advantage of AfCFTA, and AfCFTA becomes a core part of your operations. Exporting, taking advantage of the entire market, and stop looking at Nigeria as the limitation. So we want to just say a big thank you to Strength Africa for partnering with us, to all our key stakeholders for being a part of this session. We hope MSMEs after this session will be able to navigate these uncharted territories and see the current realities in Africa and beyond. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time. We look forward to a really impactful sensitization. Thank you very much. Adejoke, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jimola. What an insightful keynote address. It really gives us direction on where we're going today. Africa shares about 3% of the world's trade, and that is very small given our population. And like Jimola said, Lagos accounts for about 30% of the GDP in Nigeria. And I believe that AfCFTA is really primed to shift us to the next level, to make us contribute even more to global trade. When we begin to do trade as an economic bloc, the whole world will take us more serious, the way they take the Tiger Nation seriously. So without further ado, I would bring in the founder of the partner for today's program, the founder of Strength Africa, the indefatigable Taiwo Adepoju, for all their work. So before we bring him in, I'll quickly read his profile as I've been doing. Without further ado, please meet Taiwo Adepoju. He has the mandate to help build 100,000 ideas and businesses in Africa by 2030 by building Africa's startup ecosystem. He is a Gallup certified global coach with top 5 strengths in strategic, command, significance, deliberative, and learner. He is a foremost he for she advocate and the founder of Phenomenal African Women Foundation for Africa, which I am the executive director, so he is technically my boss. Inspiring, celebrating, and empowering women of African descent. Taiwo Adepoju is a thought leader, strategist, and strength coach, keenly inclined towards excellence with ample reference in Africa, with a focus on all the work he's been doing. So he has a results-driven track record spanning 20 years with success in driving operational growth, spearheading change initiatives, optimizing supply chains, and building best-class support mechanisms. He has an invaluable depth of leadership experience in the public and private sector with a knack for taking calculated risk. He is a social entrepreneur par excellence, transforming lives through opportunities and platforms with a tenacity for growth and development. Initiative driven with the capacity and confidence to influence his environment. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Taiwo Adepoju, the managing partner of Strength Africa. I hand over the digital lectern to Mr. Adepoju.
Thank you, Adejoke, for that warm welcome. I'd like to use this opportunity to, first of all, appreciate host, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, led by Barrister Teju Abisoye. Clearly, our foresight and our direction in terms of the clarity as to what to do within the ecosystem is without doubt. I must say, I salute you unequivocally and saying that you are a gift indeed to the youth, and beyond the youth, a gift to the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So thank you, ma'am, for this privilege to be partnering with the LSETF. I also want to use this to set this discussion going with the able support of Miss Omowi. Yes, she's ably supported us all. Now, why are we here? We're here essentially, because of the foresight, like I said earlier on the part of the LSETF, as to how to best open Lagos, okay, to the opportunities that the AfCFTA agreement affords. Now, it's clear that Lagos plays the pioneering role, almost like the forerunner. And this will clearly point to the fact that some of the things that we'll be discussing today, it would have opened up indeed Lagos and the environs to the opportunities for import and export. Now, when we talk about this thing called AfCFTA, a lot of people still think is a facade or a mirage of some sort. But the reality is that if we're going to wait, we will probably also just be caught sleeping, and then the things and people would have taken opportunity beyond what is available now. What LSETF is doing today is likely to building a skyscraper. To some, they are building bungalows. To some, they are building terraces. But you can imagine you're building a one story building, all right, then a lot of people will be wondering, where are we going to? So we are partnering with them because we are a people and business support organization, clearly designed to help grow over 100,000 businesses across Africa. Now, this opportunity affords us the privilege to also fulfill our mandate as to bringing clarity, learning, alignment, interventions, and introductions of novel ideas in a bid to monitor and manage all that is being done. So we believe that with the private, with the almost like the private-public partnership arrangement that we have, it's going to help us serve as a catalyst to ensure that LSETF can have quicker wins in a series of developmental approaches, even with this first in the series of the Lagos Access to Market Forum. So without further ado, I'd just like to release the virtual lectern because today I will still be back to moderate the panel session where we have great men and women that will be facilitating this session with us. It's also good that as Lagos being the forerunner, there are a couple of other stakeholders in other states that have also logged on. I can see a few of them, and they're wondering, why didn't they take this first order? Well, thanks to Lady Teju Bisoye for this foresight. So, Joke, are you here? I did, Joke. I hand over this virtual lecture back to you.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Adequaju, for keeping it short and simple, very direct. We appreciate you and we look forward to the session you will be moderating. So moving on quickly on the event schedule, I will be bringing up Mr. Olusegun Olutayo, and he will be talking to us on trading under AfCFTA. But before we bring up Mr. Olutayo, so that we get a clearer perspective on his expertise and on why he is really poised to be the one having this conversation with us, I'll read his profile quickly to everyone. Mr. Olusegun Olutayo is the lead expert, trade enablement, NAC AfCFTA. He's a computer economic scientist by training and expert, international trade policy and law with in-depth knowledge on trade and development, trade negotiations, data management, trade facilitation, and regional integration. He has over 10 years of experience working in both regional and international organizations with profound diplomatic engagement in Geneva, Switzerland. His career is diverse with astute experience in multilateral trading system, digital technology, foreign relations, gender mainstreaming in trade policies, trade regulations, policies and practices, and simplification and harmonization of trade procedures. Having widespread knowledge of the ECOWAS protocols, ACTA extant provisions, Uruguay Round Agreement, and the World Trade Organization, WTO dispute settlement understanding. Over the years, he has supervised and spearheaded expert technical support to ECOWAS Commission, United Nations, and the World Bank project by managing trade liberalization, information and multilateral transparency obligation, gender-sensitive policy making, monitoring and evaluation process, and database governance structure, which guaranteed accurate results and strategic plan predictability. Presently, he is the lead expert, trade enablement president, National Action Committee on African Continental Free Trade Africa Area Agreement Implementation Mandate AfCFTA. Please give a warm welcome to Mr. Olusegun Olutayo. So I hand over the digital lectern to you, sir. Mr. Olutayo, if you're here in the back room, kindly join us. You're up, sir. Okay. While we wait for Mr. Olutayo to join us, I would, okay. I'm trying to get in touch with him from the back end. Perhaps I'll just go ahead and read the profile of the other gentleman who is one of our speakers and panelists for today. Mr. Oladipupo Barua. He is already here in the back room, so I think he's ready to join. So Mr. Oladipupo Barua is the Assistant Director, Research and Investment Database, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. Mr. Barua is a self-motivated, highly resourceful, and very industrious person. He was trained as an industrial chemist, having acquired a bachelor's degree from the prestigious University of Ilorin, Kwara State. A career-changing path has, however, seen him involved in investment promotion and facilitation for the last 2 decades. During this period, he has been part of the first-generation Nigerians to actively engage in activities that sought to improve the Nigerian national investment climate, attract investment into strategic economic activities, as well as support existing investments. His work as a research officer has focused on acquiring information gathering and analyzing skills. He's therefore skillful in critical reasoning, data mining, statistical and graphical presentation of data, planning and scheduling, report writing, policy appraisals, and concept development. He has been an active member of the interministerial team that has been mainstreaming the provision of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in Nigeria. His engagements have been in business services and investment facilitation. He heads the research and investment database unit of the NIPC, directly responsible for the collation and warehousing of data on investment economic indices and presentation of this information in ready-to-use format. Please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Oladipupo Barua, the Assistant Director of Research Investment Database, Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Barua. I hand over to you right now.
Thank you very much, Ms. Adejoke. It's I really am elated to be in the midst. I'm elated to be in the room this morning. I hope everybody is hearing me. I hope everybody can hear me, please. Very well.
Thank you, sir. We can hear you, sir.
Can you also let me also appreciate the opportunity that Lagos State Employment Trust Fund has created, and the fact that we are here today to elaborate on and highlight opportunities that AfCFTA presents, and how Nigerians can actually harness this opportunity and make a better living and make and create a sustainable environment for us. Can you please give me the opportunity to share my screen? Do I have that? Yes, I think I do.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. Today, I would want to talk on optimizing the opportunities under the ECOWAS ETLS, AGWA, and AfCFTA. So I'm actually trying to go beyond what we are focused on, but it's they are all built into one another because they are all about market access and exports. Nigeria is an African country, and we all know that. Nigeria is one of the most promising economics in Africa and in the world, indeed. And we pride ourselves as a gateway, if you permit me to say that, as a gateway to Africa sustainable development. So what makes us unique? What makes us what we are? We have the largest internal market in terms of population size. We have the largest GDP in Africa. We have a crop of human resource that you cannot get anywhere else on the African continent. Very resourceful, very, very enterprising, and we are digital driven. The economy, our IT industry is regarded as the fastest growing IT industry in the world. And this makes us very, very unique and very, very apt for economic development in Africa. Like I said, I want to build it up from ECOWAS through AfCFTA, then we talk about the opportunities AGWA presents. And someone may ask, why start out from there? It's all about trade. It's all about creating the opportunity for export. It's all about having access to external markets to be able to create finances, create opportunity for technology transfer, create opportunity for foreign exchange earning. And that brings us to what exactly is ECOWAS? Why was ECOWAS formed as a regional integration mechanism? Essentially, what ECOWAS was formed to do is to facilitate trade across the 15 member states. And Nigeria, being the biggest amongst the 15 states, has actually been championing these efforts in creating opportunity for businesses across West Africa. And what has happened in the last 30 or so odd years that ECOWAS have started is that we've moved gradually from being a free trade zone. We've moved now into what we call the customs zone. There are also efforts for us to move into a monetary zone. Because of some challenges, this has not been realized as of now, but definitely that's the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to have a single currency across the West African region to facilitate trade. How is trade being facilitated within ECOWAS? We've spoken about the borderless free movement of goods, free movement of human beings across the 15 states. But how is this facilitated? How does this come into being? Essentially, the tool being used is what we call the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, ETLS. What is ETLS all about? ETLS is all about removing the barriers, removing the tariff barriers and the non-technical barriers across the borders. Essentially, what ETLS has done is to streamline the external tariff amongst the 15 African countries and ensure that goods actually move from one ECOWAS member into the other without the payment of customs, tariff, or import duties or any other levy. This is done by means of issuing what we call certificate of origin to products that emanate from the community within the community. How is this done? How do you get this certificate of origin? Essentially, this certificate of origin is given to each product that your company presents. I'll be talking in terms of, most often my statement will be evolving between the states and the enterprise and the product. So we have to have a clarity. The ECOWAS treaty is signed by the states, but it is the private sectors, the enterprises that actually trades. The trading is done in terms of the products they produce. So I'll be moving in between these three elements: the states, the enterprise, and the products. I should have said that earlier. I'm sorry for that. So the enterprises are expected to register their products within the ECOWAS community in order for the product to be able to move across these 15 states without paying these taxes, without paying the levies at the border post. And the process of doing that is you make your application through your responsible agencies. In the case of Nigeria, the responsible agency is the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So you make your application through Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Your product is assessed. In terms of using the criteria that we have. Is it an wholly made products within Africa or within ECOWAS, or has it undergone substantial transformation, which means that has there been a value creation, has there been a value added process to what you are bringing on board. For it to be accepted as a substantial product, substantially manufactured goods, it must have changed from one tariff line to another. Within that also, another factor that is used to assess it is that it must have achieved about 30% of transformation within the process. So assessing these products by the National Responsible Ministry or the National Approving Committee, after that has been successfully done, this application is now moved to the ECOWAS Commission. At ECOWAS Commission, this is also reassessed to affirm what the ministry has done. After being certified that the criteria are met, the application is returned to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who in turn now issues what we call the certificate of origin to the product. And that this now permits the core product to be able to move across West Africa free of duty. The next question is, what are the products that actually moves across West Africa? Definitely, it is not all products that move across the West African, because it's all about what can we produce within West Africa. What are the products, so that we don't encourage the issue of dumping, or we encourage other non-ECOWAS countries taking advantage of such facilities. So we have the agricultural products, we have the fishery. I thank God that the Executive Secretary made mention of many of these products, and most of these products also are products that are readily available within Lagos states. These are products that most SMEs can easily produce and have across the market. Now, ECOWAS is a sub-regional economic integration. We've all heard about AfCFTA. AfCFTA is a continental free trade area that 52 African countries have signed onto, and Nigeria is one of the countries that have signed onto AfCFTA. AfCFTA is basically a regulated market that is to be governed by basic rules and regulation that has been negotiated amongst the 52 participating states. Essentially, what AfCFTA wants to do is what ECOWAS has been able to achieve, is what COMESA has achieved within their own region. So AfCFTA is actually trying to bring the regional, the sub-regional integrations that have been achieved, and upscale it up to the continental level, so that goods that are manufactured within ECOWAS can easily move across the other sub-regions and have the same benefits that they are presently enjoying across the West African region. So goods that are manufactured in Nigeria, for instance, goods that are manufactured in Lagos State can easily move from Lagos State down to South Africa without the payment of import duty. How is this possible? This is possible because protocols have been negotiated and treaties, and the countries are gradually moving away from the payment. The countries are gradually removing the tariff bans. They are gradually removing the non-technical barriers that limits the movement of goods and services. This is essentially what we want to do. Nigeria is a configuration of 36 states. So within Lagos states, you can actually move your goods across the states in Nigeria without the payment duty. That's essentially what we want to achieve with AfCFTA. That Nigeria is now a state within the 52 African states, and that now makes it possible for us to have a larger market, have a larger patronage, have the possibility of having more income, have the possibility of having greater challenges in terms of competition, and which will eventually lead to improved goods and services. But in doing this, that, like I said, it's a regulated environment. What are the regulations? What are the service? What has been agreed upon? Basically, what AfCFTA has been agreed upon is, I can easily put it at within a ratio of what we call, I'm talking about in terms of goods at this stage, the trade liberalization that AfCFTA have brought on board. What has been agreed is basically what we call the 90-10 rule. And what does this essentially say? It says that in the next 5 years for the states, and the next 10 years for countries that are negotiating within the economic regions in which Nigeria is one. Nigeria's negotiation under AfCFTA is through ECOWAS. So we have 10 years to do what I'm about to say now. Within the next 5-10 years, countries are expected to eliminate tariffs across 90% of the tariff lines. So within the next 10 years, ECOWAS states are expected to zero the tariff of goods across 90% of the tariff lines. The other 10% is also subdivided into two. We have the 7%, which is the sensitive list, and this concerns products or tariff lines that Nigeria considers so critical to its own development. And so this also, we have an additional 5 years to liberalize or zero this sensitive list. So, but Nigeria needs to identify these products ahead of time and inform AfCFTA that these products or these activities or these tariff lines would not be zeroed immediately. They would require additional period because we need to protect these areas. The other 3% are what we call the exclusive list. It means that this 3% cannot at any time be zeroed, but they can be reviewed every 5 years. These are activities, or these are products that we consider very, very critical to our economy. These are products, these are activities that Nigeria considers to have, that could have inimical effect if we open it onto the continental trade. A big worry that most people have is, are we actually ready for this? Is Nigeria ready for AfCFTA? Why should we open up our country for the remaining 52 countries for people to just move in and move out of Nigeria, for enterprises to bring in goods freely into Nigeria and move goods out of Nigeria freely? Let me douse your attention and let you know that there is actually no country within Africa that is absolutely ready for AfCFTA. Everybody is trying to use AfCFTA as a platform to improve their own competitiveness, to improve their capacity to trade within Africa. I can also inform you also that amongst the 52 countries, Nigeria is even very lucky that we have progressed faster than most of them. We all know Nigeria is a big economy. We are the biggest in Africa in terms of GDP. And so we are at an advantage in terms of technology, in terms of human resource, in terms of mineral resource, in terms of productive capacity and all that. All what we need to do now is, how do we harness all these our internal capacity? How do we harness all the internal strengths that we have and ensure that we maintain our competitiveness and we go onto Africa as true giants that we have? But in doing this, we need to maximize our strength. We need to maximize the opportunities that Africa presents to us, or after presents to us. So what are the areas, what are the products that we can actually start thinking of and taking onto the continent? What are the products that MSMEs should be looking at to develop and take into the continent? The Executive Secretary mentioned that a lot of our products, a lot of our revenue comes from the exports of mineral resources, comes from the exports of crude oils and the associated products. But I can also tell you also that we're actually making a lot of headway in the export of agricultural produce. We're making a lot of headway in the exports of manufactured consumer goods. We have competitive strength in terms of products that ranges from cocoa, ranges from what do you have? A cassava and their byproducts. We have competitive strength in terms of manufacturing of other household goods, furniture, and all the likes. What we need to look at now is, how do we encourage, how do we position the MSMEs into realizing the strengths that Nigeria possess in these respects? I know, Adijoke, I know you have, I'm running
sir.
against it. I'm running
Yes,
against
and
that.
Mr. Olutayo is here. So
Yeah.
would you just do 1 minute and then we'll come
1
back
minute
to you?
then.
I'm sure you're going to be on 1 minute, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So essentially, what since I will be coming back immediately, Mr. Olutayo finishes, I would just say that don't let us have the fear of what will happen if and when AfCFTA becomes full-blown. Nigeria has what it takes to actually compete favorably on the continent. Our products can match what we have. We can market what we have. We can compete effectively on the continent. Our banks are already on the continent. Our movies are on the continent. Our textiles are on the continent, and they are doing pretty well. Why not? We can use this as leverage and march forward and introduce new products onto the continent. Let me permit Mr. Olutayo to speak. I will come back. Then I can now talk about AGOA and how MSMEs can benefit from there, and how NIPC can support the activities of Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Barua. That was very insightful and very detailed. It really shows. And then earlier I mentioned Mr. Olusegun Olutayo, who would be talking to us on trading under AfCFTA. So I read his profile earlier. So I'll just, without wasting any more time, because we're way behind schedule, I'll hand over the digital lecture to Mr. Olutayo. You're very welcome, Mr. Olusegun Olutayo. So I hand over to you now, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
And Barrister Ogunlewe, my warm regards to you and all the participants. It's a privilege for me to be on this platform. And I extend the greetings of the Secretary of the National Action Committee, Mr. Francis Anatogu, to all the participants and all the organizers of this epoch event. From the National Action Committee, As you have rightly said, my name is Olusegun Olutayo, the lead expert on trade enablement. I will be speaking to us on what I title Trading Under AfCFTA. One of the things we must, first of all, come to an understanding of is to the fact that AfCFTA, before now, some people have worked tirelessly on realization of AfCFTA. And it is important we give credit to all what they have done. First and foremost, it is to the fact that the entire negotiation focuses on how Nigeria will maximize its potential and also the diversification of the economy of the current administration. In view of this, around 2015, 2014, great Nigerians, they work assiduously to ensure that Nigeria take its leadership. Ditto the late Ambassador Chidi Osakwe, great people like Professor Jonathan Aremu, and a woman of substance, Demita Giyang. They were the ones that take the mantle of leadership, because the after that we are looking at, we are celebrating, we are talking about today, it was already in the cooler. Even at the level of AU, the direction was not even clear. But it took Nigerians, and I, for one, I see that as an heritage. And for all of us to consider their great work on behalf of our dear nation. Personally, I salute them. And looking at the picture that is on the screen, it is to the fact that we are standing on their shoulder. We are standing on what they have done, saluting their courage, and for us to be encouraged that the work is now on our laps. Hence, the content of my presentation focuses on regional trade, safeguards, trading under AfCFTA, and I will be coming to a conclusion. I'm sure we are all familiar with the trajectory of AfCFTA. Far back in 1963, the former Prime Minister of our dear nation, Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, was the one that even mooted the idea of a single market. Even at that time, the currency phenomenon is political emancipation. But this time around, it is time to begin to think economic emancipation for Africa. And AfCFTA remain the instrument to achieve this economic emancipation of Africa. Now, when we look at the trajectory, up until March 2018, that was when the AfCFTA was signed in Kigali. Nigeria couldn't sign due to some reason of our preparedness. Do we have what it takes? Are we really ready? And so many posters were coming. The Manufacturer Association said, oh, look, wait a minute. Do we have what that we needed to have? And this led to another round of impact readiness assessment, which eventually culminated in Mr. President signing the agreement July 2019. Again, another discourse came. Should we ratify? Should we not ratify? And there are all kinds of shades of opinion. But the bottom line is this. When you are going into regional agreement, once you sign, you need to ratify. Eventually, December 2020, Nigeria deposited ratification of instrument. And as we speak, the trade has started. Now, with this trajectory information, it is to let us know that the success of AfCFTA, I like to speak and use picture so that will get the message across to everyone. When we are looking at the picture on the screen, it's showing that everybody depends on each other. So the work collaboration is key if AfCFTA is going to be a success, be it the public sector, be it the private sector, be it the NGO, be it all kinds of shades of stakeholders. We need to work together. We need to collaborate. What is regional trade? It is important for us to know that regional trade is a derogation from the multilateral agreement under Article 24 of GATT. GATT is General Agreement on Trade and Tariff. Because ordinarily, if you are a member of the WTO, you are not supposed to do otherwise. But Article 24 allows member states to come together and say, we want to form a regional trading bloc. And that is what is giving AfCFTA strength within the Africa. Is it the first one? No. Is it going to be the last one? I doubt it. There's what we call spaghetti bowl. Right now, all countries are coming together to form all kinds of trade agreement. And why is that? It is to the fact that it allows you to maximize your export potential, because some standard across the ocean, some countries do not have the capacity to meet all those regulatory standards or issues that will be demanded at the border. So regional trade using AfCFTA allows Nigeria and all other Africa countries to maximize their export potential. Now, it is important for us to know, as of today, Nigeria, we are in various multilateral and bilateral and regional agreements. I like to use the normal example of a market. To hold the Lagosians, think of Akongo market, think of Balogun market, think of Ketu market, and think of Alade market. They are all markets. And as of today, Nigeria is into the market of WTO, the market of ECOWAS, the market of GSP, the market of D8, and also the market of AGOA, the market of GSTP, and as of the moment, the market of AfCFTA. And that's why when the executive secretary was talking, he said single market. So AfCFTA is the single market, is the most current market that Nigeria is a state party. So with this background, when we came on board at the National Action Committee, we asked ourselves, what are those things that needed to be done? The impact and readiness assessment has been conducted, but yet there are some fears that all kinds of products will begin to come in. They are going to begin to make our manufacturer less productive, less competitive. But we disagree. That is not the case. And what you need to have is what we call safeguards. Every country that is going into regional agreement, what they focus on is the safeguards. The domestic safeguard, the provisional safeguard, and the external safeguard that we can lay our hands on. So when we came on board, like I said, we conducted a safeguard assessment. And within that assessment, we were able to discover 7 major threats to Nigerian economy. Now, with this, we come to an understanding that one of the top threats to AfCF success is abuse of rules of origin. Abuse of rules of origin, going by ETLS experience, is a sorry case. How member states are beginning to use all kinds of avenue to abuse the rules of origin, because the rules of origin goes to the heart of any regional trade. Then the issue of smuggling, the issue of federation revenue loss, impact on manufacturing sector and infant industry, dumping and subsidy, free movement of persons and national security, and influx of substandard products. So under these 7 categories, we analyze and we come to a conclusion that these are the threats. But now, what are the safeguards? So at the level of the National Action Committee, we swing into action, we begin to comb, we begin to look at the entire agreement, because if you are going into regional agreement, like I said, the agreement is what ties you to the success of that particular regional trade. So we find out that among all other things is Article 14 under this AfCFTA agreement, which speaks to custom cooperation. Custom cooperation allows our custom to have agreement with other custom within AfCFTA regime. And whereas the issues of collaboration comes in, the issues of understanding comes in, because before now, such seems difficult. But under AfCFTA, our custom now has liberty to engage other custom of other state party. Ditto Article 24, ditto Part 5, which speaks to trade remedies. And I'm going to a bit emphasize on this. What is trade remedies? When we talk about dumping, a lot of people will be saying dumping and dumping and dumping. But there is, under international trade, there's an instrument you can trigger to address dumping, which is called anti-dumping. And anti-dumping is one of the instruments under trade remedies. There are 3 of them. The other one is what we call countervailing. When your state party is giving undue subsidy, you can trigger countervailing to address it. And the third one is what we call safeguard measures. Safeguard measure is when you begin to have import surge, when there are all kinds of imports coming in into the economy. Then you trigger your safeguard measures. And interestingly, as at the time the National Action Committee came on board, inaugurated by Mr. President, we discovered that Nigeria do not have this instrument. But here's the good news. As I'm making this presentation, it is in top gear for Nigeria to establish its own trade remedies authority. Ditto, again, when you read the combined articles of 36 to 39, it's talking about the proof of origin. And this goes to the heart of all our export goods into the AfCFTA market. Now, other safeguard that we have within the provision speaks to Article 27, which addresses security exemption. Then we have Article 28. For some of us that are familiar with what is really going on in the public domain, the last time when the new DG of the WTO, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, came to the country, she said that one of the things Nigeria trigger at the multilateral level is the instrument of the balance of payment. But that is hello?
Hello, Mr. Olutayo. We lost you for a bit, sir. And
Okay.
your time is already fast spent. You've not been
Okay.
checking your chat box. I've been alerting you to the time. So can you just please round up in 1 minute? When we come back on the panel session, you can further enlighten us on all these other strategic areas that you want all the participants and attendees to note on AfCFTA, and how it encourages or there's a disadvantage, or how there's an interlapping with WTO and the other treaties that we are part of. Thank you very much, sir.
Let me quickly run through that, and then I can yield the
just
floor.
1 minute, sir. That's minute, fine. Because our other participants are here. We're very grateful.
That's fine. So, like I said, safeguards is key to the success of AfCFTA. Now, in the context of that, it is to the fact that we must also understand that the success of AfCFTA is also synonymous to the domestic effort that we are going to be put in place. I think, like Raleigh said, let me yield the floor. I don't want to look as if I'm chopping too much time. When we come to the other side, I will speak more as the questions arises. Thank you very much.
Lutayo, that was very detailed, especially on the safeguard and the strategic position and how we can benefit. And this is allaying the fears of everyone who is listening. And I hope that everyone is learning and gaining. So without further ado, it's time to bring up the next speaker, who I believe is on the back end. Our next speaker is Omoumi Obidiran. She will be speaking to us on she'll be speaking to us on Industry 4.0 and after, key factors for growing SMEs. So I would quickly read our profile. Or is Mr. Opeyemi Alaron here? I believe he is, so that I don't mix the information up. Oh, wow. Okay. No, Mr. Alaron is not here yet. So I'm going to bring in Mrs. Obidiran. So Mrs. Obidiran Mo Olumide is a chartered arbitrator with over 17 years experience providing legal and policy advisory and business development strategy consulting for public, private, and international development partners. She is a former Enrique Boll Fellow to the International Telecommunications Union and national delegate to the International Labour Organization, Geneva. She has worked on several projects within the African development context for the Economic Commission for Africa, World Bank, and others. She's an alumna of the Faculty of Law of Obafemi Awolowo University and University of San Diego, the Lagos Business School as well. She also serves as advisory board member for a number of organizations. Please, everyone, give a warm welcome to Omoumi Obidiran, the Deputy Director General, Nigerian Association of Small Scale Industrialists, as I hand over the digital lecture to her. You're welcome, Ma. Thank you very much for joining us. Madam Obidiran, you are up now, Ma. You can go on. You have the floor. Okay, it appears Madam Obidiran is not here. Maybe she's having some technical issues. Okay, so it's time to bring up our next panelist.
Okay, I think we're having some technical issues with the two other panelists. So
Yes.
at this point, do you want to take a bit of polls and questions, and then we hope that we could have all the other panelists ready so that we'll move into the session. So, Lady Omoumi, Olanire, Ire, do we want to do a bit of the polls?
Okay,
Yes. Can we have the polls now?
Okay, so great. So I'm going to share this poll, and I'd love if everybody could just complete this. It gives us an idea with planning the next session as well. So,
Yes. Yes.
okay. Can you see the poll?
Yes, the poll is currently on. So is it possible for me, do I take some of the questions and maybe direct it to Mr. Olutayo and Mr. Barua, because they're still here, if it's something within their alley that they can answer right now?
Okay.
Okay, so we can do both simultaneously because we're managing time. Is that okay, Mr. Adekwadru?
Okay, no, so for the polls is to capture the audience's thought as to what is going on now. Then we'll take the questions afterwards. So
Okay,
the first question says, is this the first time you're hearing about the Africa Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA? So Madam Omoumi, please take it on.
Yeah, so if you could kindly vote on participants and even the panelists. I can see the numbers of people voting. We still have just 7% have voted. So if all participants could kindly vote, it gives us an idea on, what you would like to see the next time and how to, put together the next series, what to put together. So the first question, is this your first time hearing about AfCFTA? We also would love to know what sectors your business is in. That would really help us target our next session. We've also got in here, in which of these areas would you require further training or support? So we've got trade facilitation, trade finance, export support programs, and a host of other options. We've also got, how have you found the webinar so far? We'd love to get your feedback. It really helps us to prepare for the next session. And the last question, how did you hear about this webinar? So we've got only 37 people have voted. Come on, people, let's make this happen.
The number is increasing right now. This is very good. Data is really important. Everything is data. Absolutely. We would want all the participants to take this poll. Would encourage you to take it, because this is how we can further help you. This is how we can help the collaboration and then improve the ecosystem and the value chain. If Lagos is going to be a major partaker or the start of or the proof of concept of for AfCFTA in Nigeria and across Africa, then this is how we're going to improve the quality of our work. So please take it. We're at 52% now, and the goal is to get to 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
So the goal is to leverage this technology to get to the 100%.
Let's make this happen, people. Let's make this happen. So 56% now. Would love if everyone could fill out this poll. It will take you 30
Mr.
seconds.
Nathaniel Onogise, can you kindly take the poll? And then we've noted your comment on training on business sustenance. Definitely. AfCFTA is big on trainings. LSETF is the forefront worker on trainings. You can count on them for more trainings, information, access to funding, developing the ecosystem, product packaging, and every other thing in between to ensure that our MSMEs are improved and they are a big partaker of what is going on in the continent right now. Like I said earlier, we currently contribute as a continent, as a block, 3% to global trade. But I feel like AfCFTA, I believe strongly that AfCFTA is what is going to give us the leverage, because out of the 5 fastest growing economy in the world, African continent has 3 out of them. So we're really poised to do great things. And this is how we're going to get it. Data, they say Africa, we don't have data. This is how we're going to get data. We're breaking that jinx now by getting data, getting information. And that is how we can help you with inventions and interventions to build capacity, support, and every other thing that you need.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much. We're at 64% right now. The goal is to get it to 100.
We need to get this to 100.
If you haven't taken it, please take it. We're at 65%. You see the beauty of technology. We can see those who are voting and how many people are voting in real time. Isn't this beautiful?
30 seconds. I mean, it will take you 30 seconds. Come on, people, let's
fill this poll.
It will help us help you. So
yes, help us help you.
Yes, we seem
help
to be
us help you.
4%. At the jockey, I don't know what to say next to Kajo.
Oh,
okay.
71. Yes. Help us help you with interventions to build capacity and growth. Help us give you bespoke and tailored made interventions. For the women here, I'm your big advocate. Please take this poll. We need a lot of women to jump on it. We need a lot of young people to do trade across Africa. And there is no way you can do that better than going through this LSETF and the AfCFTA channel. So this is not just for us to listen, it is for us to get data, get information, get the necessary tools so that we can further curate other things, programs and support programs that will help you. Thank you very much. We're currently at 75%. We appreciate this. If you haven't taken the poll.
One more minute for you to complete the poll, and then we'll, because I see that next panelist is on. So please complete the poll. We're at 75%. There's 25% somewhere that haven't filled this out. Complete the poll.
If you're having technical issues, you could please refresh and then come on again so you can take the poll.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And if you're just joining us, welcome. Drop where you're watching in the chat box and please take the poll that is currently on your screen now. It's just the click of a button, answer the question. So we know, quick platform to reach out to you on where you're having pain points and challenges in your work as a producer, a manufacturer, wherever you are, wherever you are in the value chain, what you can do and how you can export your goods and services for better enhancement, and how you can plug into AfCFTA through LSETF. If you're in Lagos State and if you're in the neighboring state just learning and watching, please take the poll. This will be really helpful to us. Like Wumi said, help us help you.
We're going to give it 30 more seconds and then we'll take the poll. Counting down from 30.
You're welcome, Mr. Wayemiolaito from Abu Dhabi, UAE. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much for joining us. Please take the poll. And we know that there will be something we can do.
We're doing great. 19% to go now. Complete the poll, please. 15 seconds to go, and then we'll end the poll. So that's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Mr. Joel, you could please take the poll. I'm sure that we'll touch on high cost of production and how this could be a challenge. It's definitely one of the questions in the poll in which areas it will require support.
So, okay. I think this is a good time to end the poll now, right?
Yes. So it is a good time to end the poll.
It is a good time to end the poll.
Can you end the poll now? End the poll now.
Absolutely.
So thank you very much for everyone who participated.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Over to you.
Thank you very much for everyone who took the poll. Thank you to the people who have been contributing and listening. Please stay with us, and we hope this has been worth your while. We hope you found this really useful. So moving on quickly on our event schedule, I will be bringing up, is Mr. Laron here, sir?
Can we bring more?
Yes, more. Madam Mo Bidiron. Yes, I already read her profile. So let me just reintroduce her briefly. Madam Omomi Obidiron is the Deputy Director General of Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists. So I read your profile earlier, ma'am. So I'll just bring you up to save our time. Thank you very much, and I hand over the digital lecture to you.
Okay, I'm on. I've been unmuted. Okay, so it says I cannot because the host has stopped me. Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead. If you can hear me, just
okay, we can hear you, ma'am. I can hear
something
you,
in the comments.
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am. We can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you loud and
fantastic.
Clear. You're welcome.
So let's just go ahead.
Can you put on your camera? Put on your camera.
Yes,
thank
we
you.
cannot see you.
It still says that the host is stopping me. But if you can hear me, to save time, should I just go ahead? It says you cannot because the host has stopped it. But if you can hear me, just say so. I'll just go ahead.
Yes, we can hear you, ma. Please go on while we work on this. You have about 10 minutes, ma. We'll be reminding you from the chat box when the speaking time is almost up. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I'm trying to share my screen now. Okay. Hello, 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 hello. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet. We can't see your screen yet. Okay, yes, we can see it now.
It says I'm
sharing your screen. Yes, you can.
Okay.
You can share your screen with us. We're seeing your screen right now.
Okay, great.
Okay, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, so thank you again for having me. And I'm just going to dive right into it. You've read my profile. My name is Omomi, but most of my friends just call me Mo. So please go ahead and call me Mo. This is just formality. Let me just dive right in by saying what NASI really is and what we do. NASI is Nigerian Association of Small-Scale Industrialists, and we're a 42-year-old business support organization registered under the Lands Perpetual Succession Act. And you could say also that we're a conglomerate of all the small-scale industry players in Nigeria, having representation in virtually every sector from manufacturing, agriculture, mining, technology, even the service sector. Speaking of accountants, we have partnerships also with ICANN, with the NBA, that's the Nigerian Bar Association, and we are in 36 states of the Federation, including the FCT. And also, there is the pod that we call ourselves, that is the self-reliance pod. We try to preach the evangelism of self-reliance to Nigerian businesses, a fact that also became very apparent during the COVID pandemic, when all the airports were shut down, when China stopped reaching out. We turned to ourselves and we saw that there's a lot more that we can do by ourselves, for ourselves. So why are we here? LSETF will say they want to create jobs. I will say they want to strengthen and bring ideas to birth. A lot more of the participants here would be somewhere in between. They want to start selling or they want to sell more if they're already selling. The bottom line is that we all want to make money. Can I get a witness? So how are we going to make this money? It's a given that every business that is in some form of endeavor wants to do more. I don't know any business that's saying, oh, we don't want to sell to as many people anymore. Is there a way we can reduce our market share? I have never, ever heard that. And which is what made AfCFTA very interesting, because it allows everybody who's selling to sell more. And then the people who are not selling, either under the guise of, oh, the market is saturated, there's not enough of this and that. Now there's an abundance of pretty much everything. We're looking at a 1.2 billion man market with a potential to make $2.3 trillion. And this is not even the estimate as of today, 2021. I don't have those figures on at the tip of my fingers, but it's still very rife. And Nigeria, of all of these 55 markets, being the biggest, being one Africa's largest economy, presenting a 200 million man market, is just best positioned to take advantage of AfCFTA. Because Mr. Olutayo and pretty much every other speaker has been through what the antecedents to the AfCFTA. I'm going to skip some of my next slides, but I'm also going to touch on the fact that the AfCFTA, especially for people who are not very conversant with what the AfCFTA is, AfCFTA did not drop from the skies. They did not emanate from some president's table. There's an antecedent, and there have been shadows of the AfCFTA for many years as well. Most Nigerians know ECOWAS, and some of you will also know SADC, COMESA, some of the other economic region associations around Africa, probably because you've either dealt with them or you've heard of them. But what AfCFTA is like ECOWAS on a larger scale. So it's not just West African states now, it's all African states. So think of all the advantages of trading under the ECOWAS, and think of it in multiplied fashion. Think of it in an Africa-wide scale. That's exactly what AfCFTA is. And yes, this has been a long time coming. As far back as 1963, when the OAU was established, we were already thinking about all the things that we could do together, economic and trading activities being a prime factor. So the AfCFTA continued to take its antecedents from the OAU, then the AU, and then finally in December 2020, we saw the conclusion of negotiations. And why is this different? There is a potential to form stronger partnerships across national lines. The transnational trade environment is going to be very different. So now Africa becomes a beautiful bride and to the rest of the world, but also it becomes a stronger household in itself because there'll be better trade terms. We tend to do better from the inside out, and as you say, charity begins at home. So African trade charity is now really beginning at home. And we're looking also to increase intra-African trade to boost revenues and livelihoods, especially for small businesses. Now, how does this work really? The AfCFTA itself is the document itself that I'm talking about now is divided into protocols, and those protocols are on trading goods, trading services, and there's a special protocol also on dispute resolution. And so there's a special dispute settlement mechanism that has been set up to be able to look into the issues that will arise from here. And of course, continuous monitoring and evaluation and reassessment of rising issues like intellectual property rights, because now you're not dealing with just West Africans, you're dealing with all of Africa, and you're looking at all the kinds of different issues that will arise from merging SADC with ECOWAS, or this is how we used to do it in ECOWAS, how do we do it on a larger scale? So all of that is in there. And the simple effect of this is that we now have this large market. What are we going to do with it? How are we going to get into it? Now, I'll use a very, very almost pedestrian example. Sometimes in your home, the way you do things with your family members, a lot of things could pass. But when you start dealing with outsiders, you tend to take a little bit more care. You tend to meet standards because there is a way things are done elsewhere, apart from in your home. And this is exactly the thinking behind a lot of the preparation that we will have to do. Africa is ready for the taking, the market is ready for the taking, but is the average Nigerian SME ready to get out there? You know, there is a Nigerian way of doing things that may not pass in the African market. There will be standards to meet, and I'm glad that in the AfCFTA journey, the Standards Organization of Nigeria has been very visible, the customs, very visible as well. And they've also made a lot of effort to carry small businesses along in the organization, in NASI, in SMIDAN, in Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and generally the OPSN, that's the Organized Private Sector of Nigeria. And the effect of this on businesses is that there will be, even though there will be a reduction on tariffs on goods, there is a heightened expectation on quality. So what used to pass may not pass anymore. The way, let me take, for example, the way we used to buy shea butter in, say, 10 years ago, someone who's selling shea butter could easily just put it in a polythene bag and it's sold. There are standards now. If you're going to sell shea butter, for example, to Ghanaians or South Africans, there is a packaging standard, there's a content standard, so that all of these standards are included in the protocols that I mentioned earlier. And this is saying, the bottom line of all of that is that as the market grows bigger, the standards go higher. And if you're looking to sell to 122 million people on the continent, you're going to have to do a little bit more than put your product in a polythene bag. But how are we going to sell to 1.2 billion in the modes that we have employed for such a long time? We now have a big market, a huge market that we probably cannot tend to by just doing things as usual. And this is why we're talking about Industry 4.0 today. The way to reach the world is now virtual. Just like today, I'm in Abuja, Omomi is in Lagos, I think Taiwo is in Abuja, yet all of this is happening. And someone just signed in from the UAE. The way to reach the world now is virtual. Even for products and services, the first line of entry is now virtual. If you're going to reach the rest of Nigeria, you have to go virtual. You have to employ not just machinery, but also robotics. So, but what is the antecedents? From time immemorial, man has been trading and we have been working together as well. In our industry history, we've used mechanics, electricity, steam, and recently we came into computing and automation. And right here and now, we're looking at advanced computing and automation and looking at things like mechatronics and the rest of them. If I had an order, for example, to supply 10,000 tons of, let's say, shea butter to South Africa, and there is a packaging standard, how do you reckon I'd be able to do that? By pouring shea butter by hand into small plastics. I don't know how I don't even want to think about it. That's nearly impossible. So in order to be able to take advantage of the market that is presenting itself to us now, we really have to go digital and we have to go 4.0. But it's a given that right now in Nigeria, a lot of people, take for example the agriculture industry, a lot of people are still not even in the era of mechanics, they're still manual. If you're talking about going from manual to mechanics, from mechanics to automation, it's a multiple step to take. But as well, it is also a necessary step to take, because the world is not going to wait for Nigeria to wake up from its manual ways. We have to now make the leapfrog and catch up with the rest of the world. But yes, there will be problems, there will be challenges. And some of those challenges are already highlighted here on my slide. You see a skills shortage because the number of people who can actually take advantage of the opportunities that automation present, very few. And then you also have the issue of collaboration. There's not enough working together within the country itself, much less within the continent. So yes, these are challenges, but I also believe that there are outlets for solutions and there are opportunities for us to dig in and find ways to counter the challenges that we have. But it's not like we haven't started already. A lot of Nigerians are already predisposed to some forms of digitization and in our embrace of e-commerce. A lot more Nigerians right now are, the statistics that I've copied out and show here say that 19 out of every 20 Nigerian above 18 own a business, and 59% of SMEs are online, and they're owned by 25-year-olds to 34-year-olds age bracket. But then again, part of the reason that we're really harping on digitization and embracing Industry 4.0 is because in the long run, it's going to provide a lot of convenience. I do not imagine if what I would have gone through today if I had to be in Lagos, sitting in a hall with you for this meeting, and the opportunity cost of also being in Abuja for another meeting in maybe another 1 hour or 2 hours from now. And then, of course, there is the cost effective. I haven't taken a flight. So then, of course, there's better productivity because then you are able to free up more time and money and then free up your creativity as well. But right now, the output is not exactly in favor of what the future of the AfCFTA should be. What people sell online the most right now are jewelry, mobile phones, gadgets, fashion, and hardly do you find any of these things having their origins in this market. In this market, the things that you find are mostly commodities that have not been explored in their entire value chain. So you have, so even though we have a lot of trading activity going on, most of those things are actually distributory trade and not productive. So we're not producing, we're distributing. So a lot of these goods find their way into Nigeria from places like China, like the UK and other parts of Europe and the Americas. So, but to be able to fully tap into the AfCFTA market, the products have to come from here, and they have to be developed here also in their entire value chain. So I want to encourage everyone watching to make sure that they have plans to get into the AfCFTA market, but that they have those plans to manufacture and produce locally. If you do not do that, then you are only extending the AfCFTA opportunity to the rest of the world and not to your compatriots. So this is what this is one of the messages that I want to pass here. How are we going to be able to cover this skills gap? We're going to have to engage in a lot of education. Entrepreneur education is top in the agenda of what the AfCFTA should be doing right now, between now and the time that trade really kicks off. As we're working out the policies, we're also engaging the people in a very, very rapid manner, because right now, I would say we are behind time. And we're behind time because AfCFTA is already in effect. So we have to find a way to make sure that AfCFTA policy is integrated into our local policies. Take, for example, export. What were the steps to export before? Now that you have AfCFTA, what are the steps we want to take to make sure that export is not done as it was done before, but that taking the AfCFTA into consideration, the rules of engagement will change locally as well. Sensitization, I doubt that we will ever finish doing that. And then participation, which I applaud LSETF for today and the Strength Africa team. And then, of course, as we go ahead and participate, get the local SMEs to participate, and they're sensitized, and we're integrating policy into the continental policy into our local policy, there will also be need for monitoring and evaluation. Monitoring and evaluation because we've not done this before. I'll take, for example, while we were building the policy framework for exports, I'm talking of within the AfCFTA team now. While we're building the policy framework, we were testing out a lot of ideas, and we were testing them out based on theories. We do know and we're aware that by the time this policy hits the practice tarmac, there's going to be a lot of some surprises, but also a learning curve that we hope to be able to manipulate very quickly, because we're foreseeing that some things will come up in practice that were not totally foreseen in the policy formation stage. And of course, for you to be able to push any kind of agenda on this kind of scale, you need funding. So yes, government needs to, and for this, I want to say again, because while listening to the LSETF Executive Secretary, I saw that they'd already foreseen this and that they're putting things in place to make sure that there is a lot of support for SMEs. And so I want to advise every SME owner.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes,
hello,
yes.
ma'am. I apologize. I have to interject in your presentation. You are already 5 minutes behind schedule. You haven't been checking your direct inbox. I've been notifying you on the time. And the next speaker is here. Mr. Kwame Alaro is here. Okay, ma'am. You just round up in the next 1 minute.
That's fine. I'm on my penultimate slide also. Okay, yeah, so here listening needs to get in touch with organizations like LSETF, like NACI, and this is why my to-do here for you would be to link up, to show up in meetings like this, and then of course, for you to speak up. We need to know what, for example, if you're into export, what you're experiencing, what you have gone through, what your experiences are, what the policy should be including. This cannot be done without you as an SME, and this is exactly why SMEs need to speak up. We have a robust membership that has been feeding us with a lot of information on what real experiences are, and this is how we've been able to contribute. So our task will continue to be to advocate the inclusion of SMEs and research. We will continue to research. We'll also continue to educate our members on how to exactly embrace the AfCFTA era. And I want to thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions as well. Thank you. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Oh, yeah, finally, we get to see your face. We fixed the glitch. Okay, man. Thank you very much for a very insightful presentation, and thank you for noticing that we would have more time if we were to do a physical meet. Physical meet would, but I tend towards the digital part, and you know, this is one of the fruits of the industry. So without further ado, I would encourage all to stay with us, continue to drop their questions in the box. We will definitely get to all those questions, and I will bring up our speaker. So stay tuned for the panel session. There's still a lot more to come. Where you have questions and issues to be addressed, please continue to drop them in the Q&A session so that we don't miss any of those important information that you have shared with us. So the next speaker is Kwame Alaro. He is the HOD Research Information Technology at NAC. So I would.
Where's David?
Right now. eventually. Ma, please can
She has been muted. Can we have Mr. Alaron?
Yes,
okay.
can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, yes, we
hear
can
you,
hear
sir.
you, sir.
But we
Hello,
can't
can you
see
hear
you
me?
yet. But I'm sure we'll fix that very soon.
Hello?
Yes, we can
Just
hear you.
okay, all right.
Loud
So I can't start my video. I guess what I'll do is just go straight to my presentation, which will focus more on market access strategies to benefit from the AfCFTA. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can. And you can put on your video now, please.
Oh, okay, perfect. So first things first, I mean, there's a benefit to speaking last, which means a lot of the slides that I had already prepared are now redundant. So I would skip through those quite fast and only dwell on the ones where I think I might need to stress further. So as you would have learned from the previous speakers, the AfCFTA is about economic integration. It's just about removing trade barriers so that member states can better coordinate to reduce the cost in trade and to make goods and services more available. So this is one of the slides I would like to dwell on, which just sort of explains the AfCFTA in the form of a diagram. So within Nigeria, on this slide, you see the industries that are sole proprietors, registered businesses and corporations. And then you see the rest of the world in the globe to the right. The arrows coming and going from the globes basically just signify imports and exports. However, you also notice that there are tariffs and non-tariff barriers that are hindering those imports and exports. The idea behind the AfCFTA is the possibility of improving the activities of domestic enterprise if we remove these barriers. I'm sure this has been discussed in the different stages of economic integration. So I'll just go straight into some salient points of the AfCFTA. First off, it's about competition. Here you see on this slide the market representation of Africa in terms of population size, and this circles are drawn to scale. So you see Africa in purple, it's like 1.2 billion. You have West Africa in orange, around 300 million, and then you have Nigeria in green, around 200 million. So in terms of market size, Nigeria is like 20% of the African population, which means it wields substantial influence in terms of being able to produce goods for Africa and being able to command the market for Africa as well. Here is just a simple time map of how the AfCFTA came to be, showing that it actually started in 1963 until the vision eventually came to fruition in 2019. Okay, so a few key elements that are sort of important to my own presentation, which is about market access, is to remind us about the concept of HS codes. Every product that you want to import or export is classified to an HS code, which is a 10-digit number for that product. So if you're going to be exporting from Nigeria to benefit from the AfCFTA, you need to know the HS code of your product. What the AfCFTA does is that over a period of 10 years, 90% of all the HS codes that are available will eventually become zero. 7% of available HS codes will become zero after 13 years. And the remaining 3% will never be touched. There would always be tariffs. If you remember my initial slide, the AfCFTA is about removing barriers, and these barriers are often in form of tariffs. Tariffs are taxes that are levied on imports. So the fear, if you do not get things right of AfCFTA, is a situation where once you remove the barriers, a lot of importation happens with little exportation, which makes the productive side of our economy. As you can see, I've modified this slide to show the shrinking of enterprise. This is the fear if we don't get things right. However, with workshops like this one, organized by the LSETF, the work that is being done by the National Action Committee on the AfCFTA, represented by Mr. Lutayo, the work done by the organized private sector with business membership organizations like NACI and NACIMA, we're looking for a situation where the rules of the AfCFTA are so well known and taken advantage of so that private enterprise booms. I won't speak too much on how the AfCFTA works. I know Mr. Lutayo would have done a very splendid job on this. I'll go straight into the strategies that we propose. Well, the first thing to do is to be export ready. I would advise that you visit, at the risk of reinventing the wheel, this is well explained on the website of the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, because the AfCFTA doesn't stay in isolation. If you're not already exporting, then there's really nothing, or if you don't know how to export, then there's really nothing to talk about taking advantage of the AfCFTA. So AfCFTA doesn't remove any of the processes of exporting. So you have to get that down first. Be export ready, register for your NEPC exporter number, understand the markets, the African markets, create an export plan, make sure you're able to get all your export documents and you understand the procedures, understand the logistics for transportation, because it's about competition. And if your price, the price of your products are not competitive, then the AfCFTA is not for you. So your pricing, then you can now start looking forward to export finance, finance provided by institutions like the Nexim Bank, the Afrexim Bank, and then prepare yourself for the legal issues, the issues of understanding the regulations within Nigeria and the regulations for your export market. So what strategies should you start to employ to take advantage of the AfCFTA? Join a business association or a chamber of commerce or a trade group. Why? Because associations such as this would be able to reduce the efforts you have to make in market research, figuring which countries are needing what, figuring where you can get your raw materials from, and where your export market is. Start to participate in domestic and international trade fairs, B2B meetings, and trade delegations. For example, later this year, there is the Intra-Africa Trade Fair happening in Rwanda, Kigali. So all over Africa, your market will be congregating there, and it's an opportunity for you to find out where you can obtain alternative sources of raw materials and where you can also sell to. Try to attend workshops like this ones, like this trade workshops as well, because here you would also get information, because there's no strategy that you can employ that is not dependent on information. But the final point is the one I will dwell on, which is the online tools that can fuel your strategy for taking advantage of the AfCFTA. First, there's the export potential map. The link is on the website. It can let you know where your product has export potential. There's a trade map where you can find countries that are looking for your product. There's a sustainability map, which lets you know the trends within the country you're trying to export to. And then there's the NACIMA Market Access Project, which is trying to help you determine who are the domestic producers of your products, domestic buyers of your products here in Nigeria, and who are producing your raw materials here in Nigeria. There's the Afrexim Bank Mansa, which allows you to resolve the issues of trust. You can find this on mansaafrica.com, so that even if you do find a company that wants to buy from you, you can do your due diligence on Mansa to figure out if this is a trustworthy company to work with. Yeah. Finally, there's the Nigerian Economic Diplomacy Initiative, which NACIMA is working on. What this does is, eventually, with this project, we intend to use our diplomatic missions in African countries to help with market intelligence and help you source for buyers for your products and suppliers for your raw materials. So it's a short presentation because, like I said, most of my work have been done by the previous presenters. I thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to your questions. Thank you.
Awesome. Fine. Mr. Kwet, thank you so much. Yes, we can see you now. We can actually see you. Great. And it's okay. Somehow the anchor is also having some technical glitches, but we're good to go. We're good to go and going right into the Q&A and panel session. So I have my, co-moderator, Omomi, Lady Omomi, I call her. Yeah, I can see her. Yeah, she's there. Great. So it'll be nice first to and thank you all the panelists for such a great job done. Coincidentally, there's also an event going on as we speak right now at the Nigeria Export Promotion Council. And, some of these speakers are actually also, speaking at those locations. So we are really privileged to have you here on set. I see a few of our attendees. And so just to, is there anyone that would like to just mute a word, okay, that would like to say something? So I could call on anyone just to have your view. I see bank colleague Bola. Would you like to say something? If you want to say anything, can you just drop your name or just drop, I would like to say something in the chat, and then we'll allow you to speak. While that is going on, the Q&A, we have tons of questions. I don't even think we can exhaust these questions. Omami, you need to unmute. Lady, yes, great. Okay, so we have a lot of questions, and this is one of the things I love the most, because it's clear that people are probably listening, or people are curious to know what is really going on. I don't know if you want to take any cue from any of the questions whilst we get people to send in their comments. I know there's a question. Yes, please take one of the questions, I think by Gabriel, and then we'll
okay, Gabriel, out. Let me see which one that one. Okay, great. Okay, so Gabriel's question, I'm going to throw this to the panelists. Good morning, everyone. My question is that the free trade zone is, so I think I'll target this to Mr. Olutayo. The free trade zone is already a saturated part of the country. How smart is that? Can't the federal government work on TINAPA and make it work as planned? This same area is dedicated as free trade area, is being saturated with oil and gas activities. So basically, I guess the question is self-explanatory. Mr. Olutayo, would you like to help us shed some light on that and give us an answer to that one, please?
Yeah, thank you very much, Omowumi, for the opportunity. Now, the way I'm going to address that question is to the fact that when you talk about free trade zone is also a miniature of what we call regional trade. As a matter of fact, it helps countries to maximize the potentials they have. So in the context of that question, having free trade zone, as a matter of fact, for me as a trade expert, is not enough. It's not enough. We need to have more, and the more you have all these things, the more it allows manufacturers, SMEs, to go into these free trade zones and begin to manufacture products that will meet the AfCFTA market. And like the previous speaker really said, Mr. Okoyemi Alara, my very good brother, it is to the fact that if you are not thinking export, AfCFTA maybe is not for you. And the way to do that, it is to begin to align with the free trade zone, because free trade zones allow you to take in your raw materials without duties. And when you are now trying, that is a very big advantage. And when you are now trying to say you want to export, then the competition comes in. But guess what? If you are not having these free trade zones, it will hamper our SMEs, particularly and even big manufacturers that could tap into the advantage of free trade zone. And the good news is this: even the AfCFTA extant provisions accommodate free trade zone for state parties.
Fantastic, Mr. Luther. Omomi, you need to unmute. I think that's the commonest phrase now in this new world order. And I'm not taking the virtual lecture off you. Mr. Luther said something, and that really got me excited. He says, look, this whole thing, if you're not interested in export, then it's not for you. But that's where the opportunity for LSETF comes in now. As in,
exactly,
we believe now strongly, and that's what it is, to say, look, we need to get more people exporting now, because we've been import dependent all this while. So we need to raise the consciousness, create awareness, start to create access, and ensure that people can start to export. And that's why we started off with this sensitization. And this is the first in the series of some of the other things. Omomi, do you have anything to say regarding that? And you are driving that desk at the LSETF. You want to drop in some hints as to some of your plans to aid export, particularly for Lagosians and even those within the environment.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Taiwo. So, I mean, at LSETF, we know for a fact that export readiness is key right now, especially with the implementation or the AfCFTA that has now been introduced. And we know also for a fact that a lot of MSMEs are not yet in that space where they are ready to export. So it is our duty, as an agency of Lagos State government, to support these MSMEs to get them export ready. So how do we do that? By running sessions such as this, by running, courses and various programs, interventions where we ensure that, they begin to understand that the quality of goods, service, or products that they actually churn out, is to a very high standard. So, I mean, AfCFTA couldn't have come at a better time. I see opportunities for the over 3 million MSME population within Lagos State. So, I mean, what we will do and commit to as an agency is to continue to bring out initiatives, programs, interventions such as this that will educate business owners on how to get their products at par with almost international standards, if possible, so that they can play in that African market space. So yeah, that is what we continue to do at LSETF. We commit to that. And this, like I said, this is going to be a series, and it's just one of the many sort of interventions that we have put out and we are going to continue to put out.
Fantastic. So I hear people talking about, can we get the presentations? Can they get the slides? We have the access to market Telegram group. You probably just want to be in that group because LSETF and Strength Africa, they're going to be dropping all the updates that you require, presentations, the way to go on this journey, and make sure you can start to export, and not just export, you can start to earn money, all right, from export and other things. You can also start to, yes, sir.
Is it possible to just put something in, complement this issue that we are discussing?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so let me quickly, to all the participants and all the panelists, when you go back in like 20 years back, the China that we are talking today, what is China? For every one of us that is familiar with the economics magazine, in 70s, when you see the China picture, you see them in the rural areas, you see them in the waterlogged, but that is not the case today. What did China did? It is just what we are saying now, export strategy. Their export strategy, that was what they used to drive the economy. And guess what? It is no more. Now China is the what? Second largest economy. That is the message I believe we can all take home. And under AfCFTA, we must be thinking export strategy, export strategy, export strategy. Thank you very much.
All right. Wow, I love that, export strategy, and that's a key word. In fact, the key phrase for us, even going out from now. There's a Nathaniel that is in the audience that wants to speak. Nathaniel, are you ready?
Can I say something before?
Okay, yes, please go ahead.
Can I say something, please?
Mr. Barua,
Thank
please.
you very much. Yes, I've actually been listening to, and I'm a little bit interested in the special economic zone, the discussion around special economic zones now,
Okay.
and
Great.
how we could actually use that as an instrument for industrialization. Um, it's interesting to note that the China that Mr. Lotayo mentioned now actually used special economic zone, free trade zone, to stimulate local industrialization, and that is what led to what we are now talking about, their capacity that they now have globally. So, but interestingly now, they are saturated, so they are looking for a destination, and that is why we are seeing them in Africa, promoting the establishment of special economic zones across Africa. About 2 or 3 are within Southwest. You have the Ogunguanju special economic zone. You have the Lekki special economic zone also, which is also the Chinese are involved. You have the Delta. You have another one in Delta, which they are also involved in. What I would say, and what I would encourage Lagos State Employment Trust Fund to look at is, first, let's try and build local capacity. Let's see how we could ensure that our products, the products that we manufacture in Nigeria, meet international standards. Let's do that. As we are talking now, Nigerian products are not near international standards. We need to tell ourselves that truth. So until we have that standard, that consciousness to produce, to meet standards. In fact, you will ask yourself, do we even have standards? I'm not talking about the standard organizations. I'm saying, do we have industrial standards? What standard organizations does is to churn them out. These are what you need to have. But your product standards, have we been able to communicate that to our industrialists and ensure that our products meet international standards? These products that we are even producing outside the country, the products that the Chinese are producing for us, you will see them most often than not labeled for Nigerian market. For Nigerian market. Why are they so labeled for Nigerian market? Because our industrialists have gone to meet them and giving them specific specifications that are made for Nigerian market. Why should our market be different from the global market? So these are
that's Mr. Baraba, sorry to cut you. That's a very valid point, and I'm sure in subsequent sessions we're going to be able to global competitiveness.
Absolutely.
In terms of product, in terms of service, in terms of
service. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
So that we are not producing mediocre products, all right? And that's the hallmark of excellence. And those are the things that we're also going to be guiding on this journey.
Absolutely.
I truly appreciate that point. And I'm moving swiftly now because we're also pressed for time. I'm coming back to you. There's Madam Mo. Mo, are you there? It would be nice to know, what are your thoughts around? So somebody is saying startups business is eligible to be part of the after trade. Mo, please put on your camera. Let's make this highly engaging and interactive. Nathaniel, we'll get back to you shortly. So, Lady Mo Olumide, please, can you take on that question? Yes, please. Your camera on, please.
Okay, so the host has disabled it.
Okay, all right. So don't worry, we'll get past this host wahala, but it's fine. So just go ahead.
I'm even on another device now, but it says that the host has disabled.
You're not made co-host, so go ahead. We can see you now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so apologies, I'm in the car, I'm heading to another meeting, but I'm going to speak to this. So our small businesses, absolutely, this AfCFTA was made for small businesses, and they can. But you know, my late dad would say something that you can eat an elephant, but only if you learn to eat it piece by piece. So small businesses have to, first of all, have the vision of engaging, and minus the vision of engaging, they also have to bandy up, because there is power in numbers. There is power in numbers. A small business might not be able to engage directly and according to capacity because of the size of their capacity, and then the size of the market. If you put it against each other, there is a mismatch. But how about if you have, and this is why I said in my closing arguments, sorry, I'm not in court, in my in rounding up, that small businesses need to link up, SMEs need to link up. Why are they linking up? Because of that power in numbers, and then because there is a greater capacity that is afforded them when they are in their numbers, and then when they are in their comparative advantage groups. For example, a group of, a cooperative of shea butter makers, for example, can come together and install a plant that allows them to bring all of their shea butter together and make according to standard, package according to standard, export according to standard, and make their money in Forex. And this is the nitty gritty of it. This is the I don't like to use the word pedestrian, but I'm trying to break it down as much as possible, because I'm getting the feel that the people in this audience are at that level. They need to know that they can, at whatever level, just link up, join an association, join a business a group, link up with organizations like Strength Africa. Let them bring your single power into a multi-dimensional group, and then you can link up in a high-powered group or delegation, and then take advantage of this elephant that is in the room.
Fantastic. Now, thank you so much, Mo, for that insight. And you know, so before we bring in Nathaniel, Okoyemi, I know you're in between some events. Do you want to just quickly throw light on the Mansa, the AfroExim, and the portal that Nasima is building to help accommodate, you know, the SMEs, MSMEs, you know, in general, to be able to actively take advantage of global trade? Okoyemi, are you still there? Okoyemi, okay. Okoyemi seems to be in between events. Mr. Olutayo, I know that yesterday
go ahead.
There was a launch of the State of States. I want you to just ready yourself. We'll talk. I will talk slightly about that book that was launched yesterday. We'll also be sharing a copy of that in the group. Will be sharing a copy of the book that was launched, so that you see the competitive advantages of each state. But Mr. Olutayo will talk around that shortly. Nathaniel, now you have the time. 1 minute, 1 minute. Nathaniel, are you ready? Unmute. Nathaniel. Okay, and then Nathaniel ask to unmute. Nathaniel. Okay, well, Nathaniel seems to have gone on
we've
leave.
lost Nathaniel for now.
Okay.
Hello, can I come in?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
Yes. The Book of State was launched by my office and not by Mr. Olutayo's office.
Great.
So,
sorry about that.
so, Mr. Olutayo works with NAC. I work with NIPC. And NIPC produced the book. Let me just go back to the question around startups being involved in AfTA or in international trade. I think basically before you get involved in anything, you need to acquaint yourself with the details around the market. So startups need to understand the principles around AfTA, needs to understand the principles of engagement, and before they can now start talking about how to harness the opportunities. If you don't have a proper understanding of the market, you tend to have a phobia about the market, and that is what happens. Nigerians don't like reading documents. the most important thing for us at this level is to try to distill most of these protocols into leaflets, devoid of all the legal jargons, bring them as simple to the barest minimum for people, for the SMEs to understand and appreciate. When we start talking about free market, what does it mean? It does not mean a market where you just go in and start playing the way you like. It means a regulated market, a market that has rules of engagement. That is the whole essence of it. So when we are talking to SMEs, let's talk to them in language that will give them confidence, that will ensure that they have the boldness to go into space. That's as per that. With regards to the Book of States, like you said, the Book of States was launched formally yesterday in Abuja. It's a document that tried to bring out the opportunities and competitiveness of each of the 36 states on a single page for each of the states. And what it presents for investors is the opportunity to be able to benchmark and where you can pitch in your own investment. You can easily see the picture of Nigeria across the 36 states, across the vegetation, across the industrial zones, and see where the strengths of Nigeria actually lies and where we're actually building our momentum from. It's a very useful document. It's available on our website, www.nipc.gov.ng. I'm available to share an electronic copy of that. Thank you very much.
Great. We've actually even dropped a copy into we have a community on Telegram, and it's there actively as we speak. Sorry for the mix-up.
Mr. Taiwo, can I just make some
additional
comment, which I think is very vital?
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Okay, so first, when the issue of standard, was being discussed, I think it's important to know that Nigeria is not in total darkness. As a matter of fact, there's what we call quality infrastructure policy document. That document has been given provisional approval by the Federal Executive Council. And when you lay hold on this document, it gives you the overall picture of Nigerian standards across board. And let me say this, and that can be quoted. Nigerian standard is also being adopted in some of the African countries as we speak. So we are not in total darkness when it comes to our standards. However, at the National Action Committee, with the mandate of the President on the implementation of AfCFTA, what we are now trying to put forward is harmonization of standard at the African level. So when your product enter Kenya, it will be recognized that it has made the standard that it is required. That is one. Two, the issue of MSME, as a matter of fact, like my very good friend said, Mo Omowumi Olumide, is to the fact that AfCFTA, when you read the combined extant provision of the Annex 2, is giving more privilege to SMEs. As a matter of fact, the extant provision says if you are an SMEs and your product is less or equal to $5,000, wow, welcome to the market of AfCFTA.
Wow.
That is a jackpot. That is a jackpot for our SME. And by the time the National Action Committee, we are coming up with a clear roadmap on this information I just put out now. So SMEs, they have every opportunity to lay hold, to hold on to what we call AfCFTA market. Also, for me, it is no brainer. Speaking on the Book of States, anybody could do that. I don't need to work in NIPC. Good privilege for people working there. It's a public document. What that document simply says is a comparative advantage. For example, it talks about Lagos population. Now, when you say advantage of population, Nasarawa State does not have it. But in Nasarawa, it begins to focus on the minerals that Nasarawa State has. So the entirety of the Book of States, it is, of course, comparative advantage. What does Lagos has? What does Ogun has? What does Kano has? It's talking about Kano, the commercial, the hub. It talks about Kano, that the 50% labor in terms of cheap labor is in Kano State. Okay. And it talks about the largest market in terms of the agri product is in Kano State. So it's no brainer. I appreciate my brother Baruwa from NIPC, is my very good brother, but it's a public document that I believe every one of us that is advocating that we are trying to see the success of AfCFTA, we must lay hold on it, perhaps make it our Bible, perhaps see through it, and I'm sure by the time we begin to look at it and all other things that matter, Nigeria will maximize AfCFTA to the benefit of both the SMEs and even the big manufacturers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olutayo. Thank you for your comments and your contributions and all the panelists. I think it would be great to hear from the participants now. I know we have Owoye on standby. He would like to say something. So Owoye, go ahead and unmute yourself. Would love to hear from you. Owoye, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
Fantastic. The floor is yours. In two minutes, just sort of give your own contribution on what you heard today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for what LSETF is doing for MSCS in Nigeria. As for the fact that all these things we have heard just to make us access market, like one of the panelists said, that China started in a small way and now today they are second largest economy. Yes, I just want to say something on to further buttress what the LSETF is doing, is how to actually, carry the MSC, especially those of us in the LSETF that we are kind of beneficiary to this your great vision that you have to kind of carry us, because I found out that in Nigeria, most of the problem, the bottleneck that small business have is, getting into, trying to come up where you want to kind of register, for example, you have a lot of bottleneck, a lot of government parastatals, a lot of hindrances. Somebody said that like if you want to register business in America, it takes just 7 hours. If you are coming to Nigeria, it takes 7 months. All this bottleneck, how will the organization help to be able to make it easy for small business, MSC business that is just trying to export, want to go into export? How will your organization still help? Like I put there's a question, I say, please, like when I listen to all the panelists, I find that these are the people you can hold on to help you to fly. If you cannot get access to all this training that you have got, maybe when you get to a point in time, you want to actually go further, you want to just need somebody to help in a particular area. How do you get, how do you get them? How do you assess them? Because it's going to be a waste if after sitting down for these hours, listening to all these things, and you want to go ahead, you want to see what you can do in the other registration. Because I remember there was a time I wanted to actually start, the kind of bottleneck. Somebody told me go and bring 500,000 if you want to do just to come and inspect my company. I was like, where am I starting from? I said, even in Nigeria, NAFDAC could not take that for them to just come and inspect. Just for you to inspect that, you can bring 500,000. All those kind of things. How will you help? Because I know China actually helped their citizens for them to be able to. If you're a room you are producing and they are helping you for you to push you, please, what can your organization do to help those of us that really want to export? That is just what I want to do.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that question. And thank you so much. That's a question that we get a lot of the times. To be honest, organizations such as LSETF, we are here for that very purpose. So it's not just about the access to affordable finance. It's not just about access to market, and it's not just about capacity building, but we're actually here to make the business MSME environment more conducive. So my first advice to you would be, we've heard it today from almost all the speakers, collaboration. Get yourself in these networks, get yourself on these platforms, reach out to agencies such as LSETF. I will leave my email address in the chat room. These are things that we have people walk through our doors all the time, coming up with things like this. Oh, I've tried to register with Lagos State PPA. I've tried to register with this and that. I've tried to, get my NAFDAC number, and it's taking me XYZ months. And we've helped people sort out these bottlenecks. I mean, there's over 3 million MSMEs in Lagos State, and we know for a fact that, LSETF is just one organization of the many organizations within the state. But bit by bit, we are helping businesses overcome these hurdles. So, just reach out to LSETF and let us know what your issues are. And then we will link you up with, contacts in these other agencies where you're experiencing these challenges. And hopefully we can help you overcome these hurdles. So that is why we are here. Organizations such as LSETF are here to help you. So I hope that has answered your question. Like I said, I will leave my details so you can reach out to me personally. And these particular challenges you are facing, we can see how we can help you overcome them. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. Adepoju.
Great. I'm so excited. It's almost like, look, this should just go on and on and on and on. At some point, we just must take cognizance of some of the questions. There are some of those questions that in the larger house, we might not be able to, we are going to be dealing with them, because then we need to be able to take time to understand the specific issues as it occurs. And that's why we set up that community to ensure that every of your questions, every of your requests or your issues or challenges are also channeled. All right. And like Omomi said, she's going to be dropping her details also. If you have direct issues also, please feel free to send what you need to send. We also have some partnerships, same as LSETF, as to how to access trade organizations, get yourself in clusters and all of that. Someone has asked, he said, can I get a clear understanding of getting products to neighboring nations? And what is the standard of packaging? Like we said, these are things that we can't discuss in a minute. Someone else has asked, he says, how do you list of products not prohibited? We're also going to be sharing some of these documents, and just so that you have that you're not alone. Essentially, there's the phobia of export. There's the phobia of export, and one of the key things that some of the programs that we're going to be doing together with LSETF is to ensure that first we overcome the phobia of export, the stigmatization of failure, and ensure that people can actively start to take their position around what they offer. Now, we've been talking also around export of goods and services, of goods not alone, but we're also going to be dealing around export of services. And so I recall the ES mentioned something about even skilled and unskilled labor. Okay, and that also portends a lot of opportunity. So we should also not be myopic as to, oh, maybe they're just talking about agri-business. Maybe they're talking about manufactured products. We are saying that those in the fintech, all right, can create access to market. You can see what some of our companies are doing in Nigeria and indeed Africa. That is the opportunity that we stand to, step in even in this order. Can we meet Miss Omomi, you have a question?
Yes,
do you have a question for us to?
Okay, shoot.
Okay, so there are a few questions here.
Shoot.
So somebody says that so there's anonymous attendee. He says seems to be knocking on points and being easy on. I don't understand what that means. There's a Joel says, with regards to checkmate the influx of commodities into the country, what measures or factors are on ground to checkmate the influx in order to activate the safeguard? Mr. Lutayo, Mr. Barua, Mr. Kwe, Mo.
Okay.
Yes, please.
You want me to go first? Oh, okay.
Okay, so hello?
Yeah, Mo, we can hear you.
Can hear you. Go ahead.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, great. So if you look into the policy framework itself, earlier in my presentation, I showed how the entire agreement is divided into protocols on this, that, and how all of the issues, even dispute resolution, are taken care of. Now, within the protocols themselves, both for trade in goods and services, there are specific and very specific outlinings of what constitutes African and what is not African. Particularly of note will be the rules of origin. The rules of origin have been coined to safeguard the African market, because yes, it's a no-brainer. If anybody finds out that, okay, oh, they're eating in Taiwo Adepoju's house now, everybody that is wearing a yellow shirt, everybody everybody that's a member of the Adepoju family is wearing a yellow shirt. It's easy for someone to go and wear a yellow shirt and want to come for jollof, for party jollof, right? So how do we then make sure that everybody who's wearing a yellow shirt in Taiwo Adepoju's house is really an Adepoju? So those safeguards have been put in place to make sure that what is called African is really African. And we cannot go through all of that now. We cannot go through, it's not a 10-minute presentation thing. And this is why you you still have to link up. And you have to do your own research as well, because when you do all of that research, you come up with questions, you take it to maybe a trade association like NACI, and then those issues have been tackled in maybe the education series. I know that NACIMA also has a sensitization series that they do. All of these questions are answered there, and then they can put you through and give you a whole MBA in African export if you like. Those questions are already answered there, but it's not something we can tackle here. There are things called rules of origin. These terms have been put in place to make sure that what is African is really generated here, produced here, manufactured here, and then fit for the market as well. Are they ready for me?
Mr. Lutai, you might take it on from there.
Okay, thank you very much for giving me the floor again. Rightly said by Mo, regarding the protocols that speaks to trade in goods and the trade in services. And for the trade in goods, as she has rightly said, I like using this example, and I'm sure my very good brother Adepoju and my sister Omowumi, you must have traveled out of the country one way or the other. Is it possible for you to say you are living in Nigeria without a Nigerian passport? The answer is no. You agree with me on that? The same thing applicable to trading goods under AfCFTA without the rules of origin. And I'm going to challenge LSETF on this. There has to be a massive training, a massive capacity training on rules of origin. If only this is focused on, and MSME, they are able to have the understanding of the HS code of the product. Wow, it's going to be a great success. And that would be to Lagos State. And that would be internal generated revenue coming down from there. I said in one of my presentations in Lagos a few weeks ago that at the moment Lagos is generating 50 billion. It's a child play. If AfCFTA is embraced by Lagos State, I'm guaranteeing you trillions of IGR will be coming to Lagos State. That's one. Two, when we begin to talk about trade in services, and I'm going to put it out there for fact, under trade, under international trade, that's what we call trade negotiation. So what we have at the moment now has been negotiated to some percentage, not in 100%. So under trade in services, there are 4 areas that has been negotiated for, and that is digital economic and communication, financial services, transportation, and business services. These are 4 that has been negotiated. Other ones, they are still negotiating it, they are still discussing it. Because when you go to the multilateral level, we have 13 and others of all kinds of services. So under AfCFTA, it is these 4 that is in focus now. Now, when you extrapolate, look at just transport alone. At the National Action Committee, we did a research. We did an assessment, and we find out that transport alone, the market is $4.6 billion. Just transport alone. When we look at travels, it's going into $5.8 billion market that is available. I used to say, when we are talking of getting these assets, which my good friend Mo said is about money. Then you ask yourself, 100 naira times just 1 million. What does that give us? 100 million. So that means if I can offer a service at the rate of 100 naira, I'm going home with 100 million in my pocket. Increase it to 200, it becomes 200 million. So essentially, I look beyond this webinar to see Lagos State Employment Trust Fund bringing more understanding, knowledge for every segment of our strata that needs this information. So this is what I'm going to say now. I yield the floor. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olutaya, for that. Thank you for that contribution. I think because time is fast spent, we will just take one more question. I see a few hands raised. Bankole has had his hand up for a while. We'll ask him, I'll allow him to speak, and then we'll wrap this Q&A session up in the next 5 minutes, hopefully. Thank you. So Bankole, are you there? Can you unmute yourself and ask your question? Hello, Bankole. Okay, I think we've lost Bankole. We also have Adedoyin Odukoya. Your hand is raised. Would you like to contribute something or ask a question? Kindly unmute yourself. Okay, not there either. Prince Leko, would you like to unmute yourself and say something?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, sir.
Yes,
Yes, sir. 2 minutes, please.
Okay, let me congratulate the organizers. I won't like to go into it, but there are some basic things that we need to address. And that is, we need to change the mindset of Nigerians. We need to move away from short term to long term. We need to realize that the key thing that will drive Nigerian success in the African free trade is production. And that is why government itself must play a key role. And that is why leadership is so important. We must create the right environment. We must encourage partnership between government and private sector. And let me also comment slightly with the point made by the two gentlemen when they were arguing whether one book is ministry or not. I think one of the things we need to address is the most in purpose is Nigeria first. Whether it's ministry of this or that, please, let us avoid this. I'm talking from experience. I was the chairman of President Obasanjo's technical team on cassava. I signed the Nigerian agreement on cassava and a lot of things in the area of trade. I don't want to go into it, but please, my advice is Nigeria has a lot to benefit in the area of service. We have more lawyers, more doctors, more digital experts, even in transportation, in finance. You can see now that a Nigerian bank is the largest in Nairobi, in Kenya. Nigerian bank is also trying to be the largest in South Africa. So the ball is in our court. Please, let us all work together, collaborate. I must salute the Lagos State, and I want to assure you that whatever we can do to add value to what you are doing, we shall do it. I've sent you the mails on the chat. I think a lot needs to be done. Education, we need to leverage technology, innovation, knowledge, and above all, we need to carry our people with us. We need to change of course, we must also realize that 80.3% of Nigerians are youth and 76.3% of Africans are youth. What does that mean? The ball is in the court of the youth. Drive it well. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. This is noted, and I'm sure LSETF, along with various other agencies represented here today, we've taken this on board, and we will, we'll do what we can to ensure that the education is out there, or not just after, but in general, on, you know, the MSME space, how to run businesses and things like that. Thank you very much, sir. I think we'll take one more question from the audience. I have Sunday Alimi. Sunday, your hand is raised up. So kindly unmute yourself and speak if you can hear me. Sunday Alimi, are you there? Can you hear me? Can you unmute yourself, please? Okay. Sunday, can you hear me? Okay.
There's a Ruben. Ruben,
yeah.
right there?
Okay, so Ruben, can you unmute yourself? I've given you access to speak. Kindly unmute your mic. And fantastic.
Hi, thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you very
Ruben.
much for this.
1 minute, please. 1 minute.
Okay, thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity. Yeah, so my question is, I discovered a product recently in Ghana, and the resources used in making that particular product, we don't have it yet in Nigeria. And since AfCFTA is more for exporters, I would like to know if it's possible that AfCFTA could cover one interested in maybe making or exporting that product from Ghana to Nigeria, or importing from Ghana to Nigeria.
Absolutely. So thank you, Ruben. And just so we don't take too much of our time, I'll just take, the opportunities after portends is both import and export. Okay.
Wonderful.
So it's also about where you talk about the comparative advantage. So if you have a product that seems to have a better production, is cheaper to produce at a location from the business savvy individuals, you can start to see how you can rally up, partnerships along those lines, and then you can move it to any destination of choice. But these are ongoing discussions. We are pressed for time. We need to really wrap this up now. We've had an amazing time, and somehow we just can't continue, on this. So it's going to be a continuous process. I understand. So Mr. Laron, is Mr. Okwemi Alaron still in the house?
Thank you very much.
Mr. Okwemi. Yeah, thank you, Ruben. Mr. Okwemi. Okay, so he hasn't spoken. Yes. Like I said, it's with the Executive Secretary of the National Export Promotion Council. So it's in between those. He's probably giving his message right now. Okay, we will. Omomi, do you want to call on the rep from LSETF?
Okay, great. So I'm just going to call on one of my.
I'm back here, but my video is unable to start. Thank you very much for holding the fort.
I'm not going to steal your.
Oh no! I mean, for a minute, I was soaking everything in because obviously the information is the internet. My computer restarted. A lot of back-end glitches that I didn't prepare for and I didn't even expect. So for our closing remarks now, we've had a very insightful session. We're going to closing remarks, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm going to bring in Damola Jola-Osho, who is the Director of Finance and Corporate Services, Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, for the closing remarks on behalf of LSETF.
Yes, it's been made the host.
Okay, great. He's just he's right in front of me. He's joining. Okay, so I'm just going to give him my laptop.
It's already in now. So okay, all right. So
okay. Excuse me. Guys, so there's an opportunity that I think I should throw out to the guys at LSETF today. For anybody who is on your platform, that is recognized on the LSETF platform, whose business is not yet registered. and who is having difficulty registering. If they can collate their names with the LSETF and get them to you today, then I can reach out to you tomorrow and then get those names.
Okay.
And they should collate according to with their names, their emails, their states. That is the states, not states of origin now, but the states wherein they are doing business. And I can get the requirements to you today, and then we can bring them in on the program through.
Awesome.
To help them get registered.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This is phenomenal. Thank you so
Bonus,
much,
bonus,
Madam
bonus.
Mo.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Mo.
You're welcome.
So yes, so Damola is here with us now. So I'll just hand over to Damola for the closing remarks on behalf of the LSETF. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Very well done. I've had a wonderful time here. You've come from a position of zero knowledge about AfCFTA, and you've had a session like this. It can be very, very satisfying. I've been very, very privileged to be a part of this. I want to thank everybody who has partnered with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund on this. Mr. Taiwo Adepoju, I see your smiling face throughout the session. I see all that you have done. Very well done, sir. Thank you for coordinating all of this. You know, whenever you get into a partnership and you want to organize an event, a lot of doubts and uncertainties keep coming up in your mind as to how things will turn out. But this has been very wonderful, and I'm very happy to say that everyone we've had in the room has brought fresh ideas and knowledge, you know, to the table. And I believe our beneficiaries and our SMEs have all benefited from all the knowledge that has been shared. The representative, sorry, I don't want to take too much time. I'll just mention your organization so I don't observe too much protocols. From NACI, NSSI, NACIMA, NAC, NIPC, for Africa, that's Phenomenal African Women. That's a new one on me. Very well done. Thank you very much, everybody. I think this has been a very good session and a very, very eye-opening one as well, that has opened our eyes to more opportunities, the knowledge and the market, the ideas, the standards, the connections. I mean, I can reel them all out that have been expressed here. I really want to thank you for taking our time to open up all our minds to all the possibilities that are available. You know, when you read the papers or you hear in the news about AfCFTA, the first thing I have observed anyway is to snitch and say, oh, how much have you even done in Nigeria that you want to even go across the African continent? But then we should never work in a situation of limitations such that we begin to look at ourselves and to say we are just local players. So we really have been very, very empowered with all of this knowledge. And I want to say that the barriers that everyone has spoken about as well as being things that are just, you know, popping up in our minds that are not really there, but with more information, with more knowledge, with more understanding and engagement. And I like what my colleague Omomi said about engagement. A lot of people who suffer from all of these barriers and all that are unable to reach out to organizations that can support them, to help them to get over all of this so that they can then focus on their businesses. So I think this has been a very good session to highlight all of that. And I think she has dropped her contact in the chat box, which should be available and useful to everyone to reach out to her. That's the work she has to do to, you know, empower and support businesses in Lagos State. That's all she sleeps and wakes up, thinking of how can we do better, different areas. And when your work has no defined barriers, as with Omomi's work of business support, you can imagine that everything is on the table to be available to you to support. Speaking about the economic integration and trade liberalization, that is fantastic knowledge I have obtained from this session, and I hope everyone has benefited as well. I have also understood that this event is being streamed on several platforms. That's very good, you know, such that we have different clientele, so to say, across different platforms that allow us to reach out to as many people as possible. And we hope that even for subsequent occasions, we'll have more referrals to bring more people on board to have more education on all that has been shared. And I really want to thank you again for this session. Strengths Africa, you've done very well. I mean, it's unfortunate that this is virtual. I'm clapping here. I wish you can hear me over there. Thank you very much. We look for more opportunities. Madam Adejoke Ogulewe, thank you very much. I like this, your legal picture that you use on your status.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I hope that the next session will be better than this. And we look forward to more opportunities to empower our people to do more business and solve this problem of unemployment in Lagos State. Thank you very much.
Great. Okay, moving on. Mr. Adekwaju, as the partner for LSETF through Strength Africa, would you want to share closing remarks before we close for the day?
So, I'm just an errand officer, but I love what has been done. I'll just hand it back, to say, look, thank you, LSETF, for the opportunity to be able to also reach out to Lagosians and even Nigeria and indeed across the globe. And I'm looking forward to doing more of this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Lady Mo, we're up. It's okay to, end this meeting, all right? Okay. Great. All right. So let's dance out now.
Thank you very
Let's dance
much.
out now. All right.
Thank you all attendees. Thank you, panelists. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
And thank you for sticking with us to the end.
Thank you very much.
We've still got our numbers, so thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Olusegun.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barua.
Thank you, Adejoke.
Thank you, Mommy. And thank you, Mr. Adekwaju.
Thank you, participants. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you to everyone who took the poll. Please join us on the Telegram group. Ensure you participate. And as Madam Mo has said, banding together is the way. There's strength in numbers. Yeah, we can do more in manufacturing and production if we come together and form small units. We can even lobby for better laws. We can do better advocacy. So I look forward to a lot of collaborations on the group being birthed through LSETF. Thank you so much for having me as your anchor. This is where I sign out. I look forward to seeing you all soon at the next panel session.